Hi guys, welcome back to Escaping Reality. Me and the kiddo are getting over a stomach bug, and while I'm cooking dinner, I just thought it would be a really good time to talk about homesteading skills that are really important to learn for situations like this. We just got a stomach bug. We can go to the store if we need to, but it's really helpful to have systems in place for your home if you don't need to go out, and that way you can help shorten the food chain cycle. So while I'm sitting here making that soup, ooh, it's hot, looks good, I thought I would just talk about a few things. That soup I'm making right now is from a rotisserie chicken that we bought from Kroger. We ate most of the meat off of it, and so I'm making a bone broth from excuse me, from the carcass. Some of you just may see this as common sense, but I mean, a few years ago, probably about 5 years ago, I never thought about making bone broth. I was only ever buying white chicken breast, a couple at a time, and that's really expensive. It really adds up, and you're really wasting the purpose of the chicken, like the whole purpose of it. So as of right now, I'm gonna boil this. It's been boiling for a couple hours, and I'm gonna go pick some stuff from my garden and be able to make a really nutritious, healthy soup, especially with us feeling really sick. One thing that, not only just using the bones, this soup too, because I am gonna strain it to get the bones out. I go ahead and put my garlic and my onion with the peel on. You're gonna strain it out. There's actually a lot of good nutrition in peels if you can cook them. We normally don't in Western society because we don't think about cooking a lot of it, but if you can cook it, there's a lot of good nutrition in there. So I guess one of the first things I would say on a homesteading skill that you should learn is, first of all, from scratch cooking. I was going to make bread tonight, but then I remembered I have egg noodles from a friend who I gifted some eggs from our chicken, and they made some homemade noodles. So number one, learn to cook from scratch. Learn how to use what you have. Learn how to take scraps and make them into something. You can almost always make them into a broth. Number two would definitely be, since we brought up the egg noodles, find community. We have so many eggs all the time. I love to be able to gift them, and a lot of times I've been able to receive gifts in return. I ended up giving our friends, I don't know, like 3 dozen eggs because we had so many, and they came back with 2 huge bags of homemade egg noodles that are in my freezer that are going to go in our soup tonight, which saves me because I don't feel like making bread. I feel like crap. I'm not feeling it. So those would be like a couple that I would really suggest. Learn how to cook from scratch. The other ones, I know you're probably going to know if you're on this channel at all, it would have to be grow food and keep animals of purpose. So that soup that I have right now, sorry, I'm going to fix you. It would just be a bone broth, really. If I didn't have to go to the grocery, or if I had to go to the grocery store, I would just have bone broth right now. But once this bone broth is done, I'm going to go out into my garden and I'm going to pick kale. I'm going to dig my potatoes. I have some peppers that I can go ahead and throw in that and make a really, really good soup. Not to mention, we love our herbal teas at night, and we grow a lot of different medicinal herbs to put in to a hot herbal tea. And there's so many things that, again, are considered weeds that are really helpful. Tonight I'm going to make our tea with lemon balm, mulberry leaf, strawberry leaf, and some mint, because I really just want to clear up whatever this junk is. But I think that's like the most important. Okay, again, food, because not everyone can grow a garden. I think you could grow some things, grow some herbs if you can. Learn how to cook from scratch, number one. Find community, number two. That really is. Find people that you can trade with, or that maybe you can rent some land to grow on if you help them tend it, and they can get some food in return for that. We've done that a lot. Being able to be gifted food that we wouldn't have been able to grow, but we're able to barter because we've created these connections. Number three, grow some food somewhere. Even if it's just microgreens or sprouting, doing sprouts in a jar on your counter, grow some food, because like in times like this, I'm feeling like so gross, and I just want a good hot soup with a lot of nutrition in it, and I know we're going to be able to do that. Which, I guess, speaking of which, we can go look at the garden in a minute, but my last two ones that I would say is keeping animals of use. We wouldn't be able to have this food tonight if we didn't have chickens that gave us eggs. One of those chickens was going to be part of this soup, but he was lucky to make it for another night. Keep animals that are going to give you something. And then anything that we have that's left over, we're going to go ahead and just give it to the chickens or to the dogs. Like the carcass, when I get it out of the soup, it's got to go somewhere. And because it's been boiled for so long, it will be safe to give the dogs. Especially like if you give your dog raw hides, you can give them really boiled bones. You want to make sure they're really soft. And probably avoid like the kind of rib cage area, just because those are like the kind of thin, spindly ones that can be harmful. But if you give your dog raw hides, you can give them boiled bones. Last thing I was going to say on your homesteading skills is compost. If you can compost, do it. There's plenty of little countertop ones you can do. I'm sure if you put a listing on Marketplace, Facebook Marketplace, like, hey, I've got some kitchen scraps, if anybody wants them, someone would take them. We take a lot of scraps if we can. I have people that when I go give them eggs, they will give me their scraps that I can put in our compost. And like I said, anything that I have that's not going to go in this soup, that's not cooked and oily, is going to go in there. All those things just close the system. Everything I'm doing tonight in this meal is from our animals, from our land, or going back to our land, which is the whole point of homesteading. It doesn't mean that you have to have everything homegrown, but if you can, again, reduce the food chain. If you can recycle the food into compost or into feed for animals, they're green. I don't know if you can hear them over there. If you can buy some flour and make a loaf of bread for cents versus dollars and not have to go to the store, all of those things are just going to save you on days like today where I don't feel like really doing anything. But I guess we can go take a little peek. I'll show you a couple of things I'm super excited about real quick, and then I'm going to get off and finish this soup and go to bed. I don't know what the stomach bug was that we got, but it was awful. I think I've mentioned this before. We have just a typical suburban backyard. It's not that big, but we're growing so much food. Like when I talked about making our tea, I will go ahead and pick, which this tree has to go anyway. You can tell it's way too close to the house. It's a mulberry. We got a lot of fruit out of it this year. I'm stripping the leaves for tea and for our rabbits and our guinea pigs. That's going to go in our tea tonight. I think I brought that up last time too. There's so much basil. I have a squash over here. I'm not even showing you. That I picked one that is going to go in there tonight. There's a bunch of tomatoes growing along. Also, I'm so jealous of my neighbor's peach tree. The whole Sparking community, I'm going to go gift them some eggs this week on their doorstep and leave a little note asking if I could buy or trade for some of those peaches because they look so good. There's parsley, rosemary, a bunch of good stuff down there. I did all that in a garden tour. I guess I'm just talking about things I'm going to grab for dinner tonight so I don't forget. Also, my green beans are finally taking off. Been able to harvest a good amount. All those are going in soup tonight. The thing that made me the most excited today, excuse me. Well, I did get to eat our first ground cherries in the last couple of days. I've never had them before. They're so good. If you've not had a ground cherry, I suggest you try it. We have a wild one growing on the side yard, and I tried those last year. Maybe I just didn't wait till they were ripe enough. I didn't really appreciate the flavor as much, but this year I started from seed the Aunt Molly's ground cherries. Oh, they're so good. They were so nice. But my other thing that got me excited Oh yeah, see, all bunch of kale's gonna go in to the soup tonight. I'm gonna make just a creamy red wine, kale, chicken, mushroom soup. It's gonna be so good. My tummy is craving it. But my goji berry is finally, it's not finally fruiting. I thought goji was gonna take like a couple years to be able to fruit, but I learned nope, each year. Yeah, we're pretty urban. There's a lot of helicopters. Each year the new growth will produce fruit. So my goji berry, they're just starting. I don't know if you can see that right there. I'm so excited. There's a bunch of little fruit on there. So that'll be really nice to be able to. I've never had a fresh one. A lot of people out here in the Midwest don't. Unless you grow them, you can't ever really get them in stores fresh. But okay, I've rambled enough, and I think my I don't know. I'm getting like, I'm ready to go to bed. I'm tired. I'm just gonna go rest, get over this cold. Yeah, really, learn some homesteading skills. They're not, I kind of even don't like that word homesteading. It's not really something that people weren't doing just a few decades ago here in the US. It's just kind of been lost in translation, I think, like through generations. So I love talking about how much I didn't know any of this until, my late 20s, 30s on how to grow food. And now we have such a small space. And tonight I am sick as fuck. And I am making the most bougie gourmet soup. So, yeah. Have a good night.